Just 49 cents. That is exactly what a single serving will cost you. It is one specific fruit you can easily find at any local grocery store across the country. And according to a published clinical trial, it actually improved insulin sensitivity in merely 6 weeks. That powerful fruit is the blueberry. But before you click away assuming you already know everything there is to know about blueberries, you really don't. Because the vast majority of individuals consume them completely the wrong way, at the absolute worst times, and unknowingly strip away up to 70% of their actual health benefits. And here is the reality that should really capture your attention. There are 7 different fruits likely sitting in your kitchen right this minute. 3 of them are actively helping to stabilize your blood sugar. 4 of them are secretly destroying it. And absolutely nobody, not the nutrition labels on the packaging, and often not even the standard advice you hear, is explaining which is which. Today, I am going to rank all 7 of these fruits, counting down from the absolute worst to the very best. Number 7 is the exact fruit that most older adults feast on every single summer, fully convinced it is harmless. Number 1 is the exact reason a woman named Barbara watched her A1C plummet from a dangerous 8.4 all the way down to a 6.1 in just 90 days. When her specialist asked what massive lifestyle overhaul she had made, she simply replied, "1 fruit." He immediately wrote it down. I am here today to show you exactly what Barbara did, why her strategy worked so flawlessly, and which specific fruits you need to stop snacking on immediately. But before I rank a single piece of produce, let's establish 2 quick things that matter far more than you might realize. First, if you are over 60 and you are serious about keeping a close eye on your blood sugar, make sure to subscribe to Health After 60. This channel exists solely to give you the deep, biological explanations that a rushed 12-minute office visit simply never has the time to provide. Second, please leave just 1 word in the comments section below, the name of the fruit you eat most days of the week. I personally read every single comment, and your answers directly tell me what crucial topics we need to cover next. That's it. Now, let's dive right in. First, let me clarify why fruit can be so incredibly confusing for anyone who is actively trying to manage their blood sugar levels. Fruit is not just one universal category. It is not like ordinary table salt, where eating more is always worse and eating less is always better. You need to think of the fruit section at the store like a medicine cabinet. Some of the bottles inside that cabinet are designed to heal your body. Others will actively make you sicker. And a handful of them look almost completely identical on the outside. Yet what happens once they get inside your body is completely different. Here is exactly what happens biologically when you eat fruit. The natural sugar found in fruit is primarily fructose. Unlike standard glucose, fructose does not just absorb directly into your bloodstream. Instead, it takes a unique detour straight to your liver. Your liver is responsible for processing it. And in moderate amounts, especially when the fruit's natural, protective fiber is still fully intact, your liver handles that fructose beautifully. Your blood sugar remains relatively stable. You experience no dramatic spikes and no sudden, exhausting crashes. But here is the critical part that almost nobody ever explains. When you consume fruit without its protective fiber, whether you juice it, toss it into a blender for a smoothie, or simply choose a fruit that is naturally deficient in fiber, but overloaded with sugar, that fructose rushes in and completely floods your liver. Your liver quickly becomes overwhelmed. It panics and starts converting that massive dose of fructose directly into stored fat. Even worse, this constant flooding triggers a dangerous condition known as hepatic insulin resistance. Over time, your liver simply stops responding correctly to insulin signals. And the moment that happens, your fasting blood sugar starts creeping up. It rises while you are sound asleep. It rises even if you haven't taken a single bite of food for 12 straight hours. That biological cascade is exactly why certain fruits are phenomenal for controlling your glucose, while others make the situation significantly worse. So, let's rank them. All 7. As we go through this list, make a mental note of which ones are currently sitting on your kitchen counter, because by the time this video ends, you are probably going to want to walk in there and drastically rearrange your daily habits. Coming in at number 7 is watermelon. This is the exact fruit I warned you about in the opening moments of this video. It is the number 1 thing most seniors reach for on a hot summer afternoon, because they mistakenly believe it is the safest possible option, simply because it is mostly water. And they aren't wrong about the water content. It is roughly 92% water. But that is precisely the dangerous trap. Watermelon carries a massive glycemic index of approximately 76. To put that into simple terms, that is actually higher on the glycemic scale than eating a literal spoonful of white table sugar. And because it contains almost zero fiber to act as a barrier, the absorption of that sugar isn't slowed down at all. So when you eat that massive, refreshing slice on a sunny July afternoon, the sugar enters your bloodstream almost as violently and rapidly as if you had just chugged a can of regular soda. The water content successfully tricks your brain into believing you ate something light. Your pancreas, however, knows the truth. Watermelon really needs to be treated as a rare, occasional treat. Eating a few small cubes served alongside a handful of healthy nuts to slow digestion is somewhat reasonable, but it is absolutely not a fruit you should be eating by the giant bowlful while relaxing on your porch. That giant bowl triggers a massive blood sugar spike, and roughly an hour later, you are practically guaranteed to feel the severe energy crash that always follows. Moving to number 6, pineapple. Pineapple has somehow secured a reputation as a highly beneficial health food, largely because it contains a specific enzyme known as bromelain. Bromelain is heavily promoted for its ability to support digestion and reduce systemic inflammation and swelling. But here is the major problem. While bromelain is great for those things, it does absolutely nothing whatsoever to protect or improve your blood sugar. Meanwhile, pineapple carries a very high glycemic index hovering around 66. It packs a substantial payload of rapidly absorbed sugar and offers extremely little fiber to mitigate the damage. If you are eating canned pineapple that comes soaking in sugary syrup, the effect is catastrophically worse. And drinking pure pineapple juice is the worst option of all. Why? Because the absolute second you completely remove the physical fiber, you are right back to aggressively flooding your liver with pure fructose, triggering the exact mechanism of insulin resistance we broke down just a few moments ago. If you eat a small amount of fresh pineapple immediately after a balanced, heavy meal that already includes plenty of protein and healthy fats, your body can usually manage it. But snacking on pineapple all by itself on an empty stomach is essentially setting up a rapid, tropical-flavored sugar delivery system directly into your bloodstream. Number 5 on the list is the mango. People love to call the mango the king of fruits, and they repeat that phrase as though it automatically guarantees it is a complement to your overall health. Let's look at the numbers. Just one medium-sized mango contains approximately 45 grams of sugar. To put that in perspective, that is significantly more sugar than you will find stuffed inside many popular candy bars. Its glycemic index sits right around 60. Now, to be fair, mango does provide a valuable dose of vitamin C and is packed with carotenoids. Those are the natural bright orange pigments that genuinely offer legitimate health benefits. But for anyone who is actively fighting to keep their blood glucose under control, the sheer, overwhelming sugar content completely cancels out those marginal benefits. So, you must start thinking of mango strictly as a dessert. Having a couple of very thin slices after dinner is perfectly fine, but chopping up half a mango and dropping it into your morning breakfast bowl is a surefire way to produce a massive blood sugar spike that you can literally watch climb on your glucose meter. Number 4 is the banana. This is without a doubt the one fruit you will find sitting on the counter in almost every single kitchen across America. And this is where the science becomes exceptionally interesting, because bananas are the perfect illustration for the entire message of this video. You see, a banana is not a fixed, unchanging food. Its biological makeup changes dramatically hour by hour as it ripens. A firm banana that still has slight green tips contains a massive amount of what we call resistant starch. Resistant starch is a brilliant type of carbohydrate that your body physically cannot digest quickly. Because of this, it moves slowly and steadily through your digestive tract, creating only a very minimal, gentle ripple in your blood sugar. But as that exact same banana sits on your kitchen counter, and the yellow peel begins to develop those soft brown spots, a chemical process occurs. That protective resistant starch completely converts into rapidly absorbing simple sugar. A heavily spotted, overripe banana can easily reach a glycemic index of roughly 62. It is the exact same piece of fruit, but it delivers a completely different, much more dangerous effect just 3 days later. And this is where most folks make a terrible mistake. The exact same mistake they make with blueberries, which I am going to explain shortly. They purposely wait for the softest, sweetest, brownest banana possible, peel it, and eat it entirely by itself, first thing in the morning, on a completely empty stomach. Then they wonder why they are left feeling shaky, agitated, hungry, and desperately searching the pantry for a snack by 10 a.m. Eating half of a green-tipped banana, paired with a heavy spoonful of peanut butter or a hard-boiled egg, is a perfectly reasonable, blood sugar-friendly choice. But eating a brown, overripe banana all by itself at 7 o'clock in the morning is virtually guaranteed to trigger a steep blood sugar spike, immediately followed by an exhausting energy crash. So there you have the first four on our list: watermelon, pineapple, mango, and the overripe banana. Four seemingly innocent fruits that may already be sitting quietly in your kitchen, actively working against the very health goals you are trying so hard to achieve. Now, let's shift gears and move on to the top 3 fruits that actually work brilliantly in your favor. Number 3 is the apple. You have heard the old adage, an apple a day, for your entire life. And it turns out there is a massive amount of scientific truth to it, but only with one crucially important condition. You absolutely have to leave the skin on. The apple's greatest biological advantage comes from a compound called pectin. Pectin is a highly effective soluble fiber that is located almost entirely just beneath the peel. Once it enters your digestive tract, this pectin forms a thick, gel-like substance that dramatically slows down the absorption of the apple's natural sugar. Furthermore, the peel contains the vast majority of the apple's polyphenols, which are powerful plant compounds heavily associated with creating a healthier, much more stable insulin response in your cells. If you peel the apple before eating it, you have essentially thrown the medicine in the trash while keeping all the sugar for yourself. If you process it down into applesauce or drink it as apple juice, it becomes even more detrimental than eating a peeled apple. However, a whole apple, eaten with its protective skin intact, carries a beautiful glycemic index of roughly 36, making it one of the absolute gentlest and most reliable fruits on this entire list for maintaining tight blood sugar control. The instruction here couldn't possibly be any simpler. Eat the whole apple. Keep the skin on. That is all you have to do. Number 2 is grapefruit. Grapefruit holds the title for having the lowest glycemic index of every single fruit we have discussed today, sitting at a remarkably low 20. It also contains a fascinating natural compound known as naringin. Naringin is the bitter flavonoid that gives grapefruit its famous, distinctive sharp bite. Clinical research has heavily associated this specific compound with drastically improved insulin sensitivity. On paper, grapefruit looks like the absolute perfect fruit for anyone trying to support healthy blood sugar. But right here, I need to draw a very strict, very clear warning line. This is the only fruit on today's list that can be genuinely, physically dangerous for certain individuals, and it has absolutely nothing to do with its sugar content. Grapefruit actively blocks a very specific enzyme in your intestines called CYP3A4. Your body heavily depends on this exact enzyme to safely break down and process many commonly prescribed medications, including a huge variety of cholesterol-lowering statins and several highly common blood pressure medications. When the grapefruit blocks that enzyme from doing its job, those powerful medications can rapidly accumulate in your bloodstream, building up to toxic levels they were never, ever intended to reach. That is not a minor, dismissible risk. So, if you are currently taking a statin or any form of blood pressure medication, do not even think about adding grapefruit to your daily routine until you have directly asked your pharmacist whether your specific medication is on that known interaction list. It only takes one simple phone call to be safe. Now, if you are not taking any of those interacting medications, grapefruit instantly becomes a quiet, absolute champion for daily blood sugar control. Eating half a grapefruit in the morning, making sure to consume it in whole segments so you keep all of that brilliant natural fiber, has almost zero negative impact on your blood sugar levels. And now we have finally reached the number 1 spot, the blueberry, the 49-cent berry I teased at the very beginning of this video. Here is exactly the science behind why it earns the undisputed top spot, and why the vast majority of people unknowingly throw away nearly all of its incredible benefits. The primary active compounds in blueberries are called anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are the deep, rich blue and purple pigments that are heavily concentrated in the outer skin of the berry. These pigments actively help improve the exact way your body's cells respond to insulin. A highly respected, published clinical trial discovered highly measurable, undeniable improvements in overall insulin sensitivity after approximately 6 weeks of use, driven solely by these blueberry compounds. But here is the massive mistake I promised to reveal to you. Most people completely destroy these incredible benefits long before the anthocyanins ever have a chance to reach their bloodstream. They toss their blueberries into a powerful blender to make morning smoothies. This violently breaks apart the vital fiber and instantly floods the liver with liquid fructose, triggering the exact mechanism of insulin resistance we discussed earlier. Or, they bake them into breakfast muffins that are absolutely loaded with inflammatory refined flour and processed sugar. Or they simply sprinkle them over a giant bowl of highly sweetened, processed breakfast cereal. As a direct result, whatever minor benefit those poor blueberries were trying to provide gets instantly buried underneath a massive blood sugar spike, created by everything surrounding them. When you consume them that way, you are completely canceling out the advantage. You are essentially eating the plastic pill bottle while pouring the life-saving medicine straight down the drain. The correct way to eat them is almost unbelievably simple. You need to eat half a cup of whole blueberries. They can be fresh or frozen, because the freezing process does not reduce their anthocyanin content at all. Served alongside a solid source of protein and healthy fat, to intentionally slow down digestion. Eat them whole, never blended, never baked, and definitely never buried under a mountain of sweetened cereal. Let me share a quick story about Barbara. Barbara was 64 years old when she first presented with an alarming A1C of 8.4. For anyone who isn't familiar with how that test works, your A1C directly reflects your average blood sugar levels over roughly a 3-month period. An A1C, sitting at 8.4, is typically the exact point where doctors stop suggesting diets and begin having very serious, intimidating conversations about starting daily insulin therapy. Just 90 days later, Barbara's A1C was measured again. It had plummeted to 6.1. Her specialist was so shocked he genuinely asked her what massive lifestyle changes she had implemented, because a sudden reduction of that magnitude almost always indicates that a heavy new medication has been introduced to the system. She answered him with just 2 words: one fruit. What Barbara actually committed to doing was mixing half a cup of whole, intact blueberries into a bowl of plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt every single morning without fail. The dense protein and healthy fat inside the yogurt brilliantly slowed the digestion and the absorption of the fruit's natural sugars. No blended smoothies, no sweetened cereals. But she also made one highly crucial additional change. She completely stopped drinking the tall glass of orange juice that she had religiously consumed with her breakfast every single morning for 40 years. Because that seemingly healthy glass of juice had been actively undoing all the benefits of her blueberries every single morning before she even had a chance to walk out her front door. A cheap, 49-cent serving of one of the least expensive berries in the entire grocery store, eaten whole with a source of protein, effectively replaced a massive glass of concentrated fruit juice that had quietly been skyrocketing her fasting blood sugar overnight. 3 months later, she went from an 8.4 down to a 6.1. Her specialist literally wrote it down in his notes. So, here is exactly what you need to do starting tonight, so that this doesn't just become another entertaining video you watched and immediately forgot. Step 1. Walk right into your kitchen and identify the 4 problematic fruits we have discussed. The watermelon, the pineapple, the mango, and any banana sitting there that has become soft, overripe, and heavily covered in brown spots. You don't have to throw them in the trash. You simply need to stop viewing them as harmless, everyday snacks and immediately start treating them as occasional, sugary desserts. Eat them in very small portions, only after a heavy, balanced meal, and never, ever eat them by themselves on an empty stomach. Step 2. Tomorrow morning, serve yourself half a cup of whole blueberries, either fresh or straight from the freezer, paired with plain Greek yogurt or a small handful of mixed nuts. Do not put them in a smoothie. Do not sprinkle them over sugary cereal. Eat them whole. Step 3. If there is any fruit juice sitting in your refrigerator right now, whether it is orange juice, apple juice, or any other variety, finish the glass you already poured, and let that be the absolute last one you ever drink. Liquid fruit juice is quite literally one of the fastest, most effective ways to completely undo every single positive habit we have discussed throughout this video. Step 4. Keep whole, unpeeled apples in a visible bowl on the counter where you will actually see them. Eat them whole. Remember, The skin is exactly where the vast majority of the biological benefit is stored. Step 5. And please understand this one is absolutely not optional. If you take a statin or any prescribed medication for high blood pressure, you must call your pharmacist before you even think about adding grapefruit to your diet. Make the one phone call. Do not guess. And never stop taking a prescribed medication just because of something you watched in a video online, including anything I have shared here today. Choosing the correct fruit to eat is the easy part. Dangerous drug interactions are the part that can rapidly send well-meaning people straight to the emergency room. Here is the ultimate lesson I hope truly stays with you today. Barbara changed two major things that morning. Yes, she added the powerful blueberries, but she also successfully eliminated the heavily concentrated orange juice she had been drinking with her breakfast every single day for 4 decades. That second change was every single bit as important as the first. Because the specific fruit you choose to add to your morning breakfast bowl often matters a lot less than the sugary drink you have been unknowingly consuming every single morning. The exact drink that is aggressively raising your blood sugar before you have even pulled up a chair to sit down and eat. And that is exactly what we are going to dive into in the next video. We will uncover the 3 popular morning drinks that most adults over 60 blindly consume every single day, that quietly skyrocket their fasting blood sugar, and the 2 specific drinks that can genuinely help pull those numbers down. One of those harmful drinks is probably sitting in a mug in your hand right now. If you want your numbers to rapidly improve exactly the way Barbara's did, that is exactly where we are going next. I will see you in the next video.